The sharp crack of a glass case slamming shut echoed through Montrose fine jewelers like a gunshot. Everything stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. Elegant customers turned as one toward the sound. The tinkling of champagne glasses ceased. Even the classical music seemed to fade into shocked silence. "Ma'am, don't touch that jewel." The voice belonged to Patricia Harrington, head of security for the luxury jewelry store. She stood rigid, one manicured hand pointing at a small woman in a simple gray coat. "That necklace is worth more than you'll earn in 10 lifetimes. The woman froze, her weathered fingers hovering inches from the display case. She wasn't trying to open it. She was simply admiring the ruby pendant through the glass, the way anyone might pause at a museum exhibit. "I wasn't touching anything," the woman said quietly. Her voice carried a slight accent, soft but dignified. "I was just looking." Patricia's lips curled into something between a smile and a sneer. She moved closer, deliberately blocking the woman from a display. "This section is for serious buyers only. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the costume jewelry counter." Down the street, at the discount store, a few customers exchanged glances. Michael Chun, browsing wedding bands nearby, shifted uncomfortably. Sarah Matthews, trying on diamond earrings, caught her reflection in the mirror and looked away. Nobody said anything. The woman in the gray coat straightened her shoulders. "I have every right to be here. I'm a customer." "A customer?" Patricia laughed, loud enough for everyone to hear. She wanted an audience. "Customers come here with appointments, with references, with bank statements that don't bounce." She gestured at the woman's worn coat, her practical shoes, her hands that showed years of hard work. "This establishment has standards. We protect our clientele from uncomfortable situations." Thomas Price, the store manager, appeared from the back office. He'd heard the commotion. He looked at Patricia, then at the woman, then at the growing crowd of onlookers. He said nothing. He turned and walked back to his office, closing the door softly behind him. That silence hurt more than Patricia's words. "I'm asking you politely to leave," Patricia said, her voice dropping to a threatening whisper. "Before I make this official." "I'm not leaving," the woman said. Her voice trembled slightly, but she held her ground. "I came here for a reason." "Of course you did," Patricia said loudly, performing now for the gathered crowd. "Everyone has a reason, usually involving security cameras and insurance claims." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police. You can explain your reasons to them." "Patricia, maybe that a bit much," Michael Chin ventured weakly from near the wedding bands. Patricia spun toward him. "Mr. Chin, I'm protecting your shopping experience. Would you want your future wife's engagement ring in the same display case that someone like this was examining?" Michael's face flushed red. He looked down at the bands. He said nothing more. Patricia turned back to the woman. "Last chance. Walk out with dignity or get escorted out with handcuffs." The woman's hands trembled, but her voice grew stronger. "My name is Maria Santos, and I don't need your permission to stand here." "Maria Santos," Patricia repeated mockingly. She typed something into her phone. "Let me guess. No appointment in our system. No account history. No reference from existing clients." She looked up triumphantly. "Just as I thought. Security protocols exist for a reason." The front doors of Montrose fine jewelers suddenly swung open with force. The bell above chimed sharply, almost angry. Every head turned toward the entrance. A woman strode in wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit. Her heels clicked against the marble floor with military precision. She carried a leather briefcase in one hand and her phone in the other. Her eyes swept the scene instantly, cataloging everything. She was maybe 40, with dark hair pulled back severely, and she radiated the kind of authority that doesn't need to announce itself. But before we continue with what happened next, if you believe in stories that restore your faith in humanity, hit that subscribe button for PureKind Tales. We share real stories of justice, kindness, and karma every single day. Now back to the story. The woman in the navy suit walked directly to Maria Santos. She stood beside her, not in front of her. Is there a problem here? Patricia sized up the newcomer. Professional, expensive suit, confident. She adjusted her approach. This woman was attempting to handle merchandise without authorization. I'm within my rights too. I asked if there was a problem. The woman interrupted, her voice ice cold. Not for your justifications. Patricia's confidence flickered. And you are? The woman reached into her briefcase and pulled out a business card. She handed it to Patricia with a kind of controlled movement that made you realize she was holding back significant anger. Catherine Santos, Chief Legal Counsel for Montrose Holdings. The color began draining from Patricia's face. Montrose Holdings, the parent company that owned this jewelry store, and 15 others across the state. This woman you just threatened to have arrested, Catherine continued, her voice carrying through the silence door, is Maria Santos, my mother. The silence deepened. Sarah Matthews's hand went to her mouth. Michael Chun closed his eyes. For the past 30 years, Catherine said, each word precise and cutting. My mother cleaned offices, night shifts, weekends, holidays. She cleaned the corporate headquarters of Montrose Holdings, the executive suites, the boardrooms where decisions about stores like this get made. Patricia tried to speak. Nothing came out. She scrubbed floors while I studied law at Princeton, Catherine continued. She worked double shifts to pay my tuition. She missed my graduation because she was buffing the marble floors in the CEO's office. The CEO who promoted me last month. The CEO who asked me yesterday what I wanted for my birthday. Catherine turned to her mother. Maria's eyes were bright with tears, but she stood tall. I told him I wanted to buy my mother the most beautiful necklace in his finest store, Catherine said. I told him I wanted to surprise her, so I sent her here ahead of me. I asked her to choose anything she wanted, anything at all. Price was no object. Patricia's phone slipped from her hand and clattered on the marble floor. That ruby pendant she was admiring, Catherine's voice dropped dangerously low. The one you said was worth more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes? I was planning to buy it. Cash. Today. Along with matching earrings. And probably a few other pieces, because my mother deserves everything she never had. Thomas Price emerged from his office, his face pale. Miss Santos, I apologize, I didn't realize. You didn't realize because you didn't care to know. Catherine cut him off. You saw a woman in a simple coat and decided she didn't belong. Just like Patricia here, decided that appearance equals worth. She turned back to Patricia, who was visibly shaking now. My mother has more dignity in her weathered hands than you have in your entire designer uniform. She built my future with those hands. She earned my success with her sacrifices. And you judged her by her coat. Security footage would later show that 17 people were in that store. 17 witnesses to Patricia's cruelty. Not one had spoken up. They all felt it now. The weight of their silence pressing down like the crystal chandeliers overhead. Catherine took her mother's arm gently. Come on, Mama. Let's go somewhere that understands what real value looks like. They walked toward the door together. Just before leaving, Maria turned back. She looked at Patricia, who couldn't meet her eyes. When Maria spoke, her voice was soft but clear enough for everyone to hear. I was only looking through the glass, she said. I would never touch something so beautiful with my rough hands. I learned long ago that some places don't want people like me to touch their precious things. But you can't stop me from being someone's precious thing. The door closed behind them. The silence that remained was heavier than before. Patricia stood frozen, her career crumbling around her like the glass case she'd slammed shut. Michael Chun stared at the wedding bands, wondering how he'd explain his silence to his future wife. Sarah Matthews quietly removed the diamond earrings and left without buying anything. One by one, the other customers drifted away, suddenly uncomfortable in a place that felt less elegant than it had 15 minutes ago. Thomas Price watched his store empty. He'd have to call corporate. He'd have to explain why Montrose Holdings' chief legal counsel just walked out of his location. He'd have to explain Patricia's actions, his silence, the culture he'd allowed to flourish in his elegant, exclusive empty store. Outside, Catherine hailed a taxi. Before they got in, she hugged her mother tight. "Where'd you like to go, Mama?" Maria smiled, the first real smile since entering that store. "Anywhere," she said. "As long as I'm with you, anywhere is precious enough." Respect doesn't begin when you learn someone's title. It begins with seeing them as human. So what would you do if you witnessed something like this? Would you speak up or stay silent? What did you think about how Maria handled it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell us where you're watching from. If this story moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Remember, respect costs nothing, but its absence costs everything. Thanks for watching PureKind Tales, and we'll see you in the next story.